Hey guys, welcome to Wrestle Kingdom Eve. This is going to be pretty much just going to be about the Wrestle Kingdom 14 show tomorrow. I know I already kind of did a preview of sorts, but then I realized, well, wait a minute, I didn't do any kind of predictions. That doesn't make any sense. If I'm going to talk about this thing so much, I might as well do some kind of predictions. So I will get to that here in a few minutes. But first, I just want to talk about just one little thing, and that is how much I actually like the new dub for Neon Genesis Evangelion on Netflix. Anyone who hasn't ever watched that show should definitely check it out. I really do like the new dub of the series. For anyone out there who doesn't know, the show has a dub from the '90s originally, and it had its flaws. Now looking back at it, and now though the new Netflix one is really good. It's got some flaws, but I just wanted to mention that to everybody because anyone out there who's looking for something that's cerebral but also a mech or an anime show, you should definitely check it out. It's something that I've just kind of been working my way through, watching an episode or two a day. Then I'll watch all the movies afterwards. I think the characters, in terms of their voices, are really well done. Because in the original, Shinji really came off as really mopey, and he really isn't mopey in the new one. He's a little more cheerful. And I know that things get worse as they progress in the series, but he's just a little more like a normal person, and I think that kind of works for him. And just like Asuka, who in the original really came off as a kind of just mean spirited, and I don't think she means mean spirited. She's just a perfectionist, and she just has her way of doing things, and she wants to be right, and she wants to do things perfectly. And the new dub makes her character feel that way. It actually makes her character feel a little more sympathetic and a little more likable. So it's just something that I've really liked. And honestly, I really like Evangelion a lot. It's just a crazy show. And there's a lot about religion, politics, bureaucracy in particular. Anyone that's watched Shin Godzilla, the last Japanese Godzilla film that we've gotten so far, it's the same director as Evangelion, which basically it's a lot of like the movie's all about red tape of what would happen if there's a Godzilla attack, and Evangelion's a lot of that too in terms of just it's like how the inner workings of an organization works in terms of politics, especially something that's like national defense, or I guess in the terms of Evangelion, like world defense. And that reminds me of that the big company in or organization in Evangelion is called Nerve, but they pronounce it Nerve or Nerf in the new dub, which is extremely annoying. And then the Magi, they call them like Magi or Magi. It's kind of weird how they pronounce it. That's something I don't like either. I mean, there's some things there's some things obviously I don't like about this dub, but I feel that Netflix really tried with this dub. That's something that I think that the show was well deserved. Now we need to get this as an official release. We need a real release of this on DVD and Blu-ray, because really there's only early DVDs of the show, and if anyone goes on Amazon or eBay and just sees the prices, yeah, no, it's crazy expensive. It's something that I really hope Netflix does, and I've been looking. I looked last night to see if there's any announcement or anything about it, but I haven't. There isn't anything yet. The crazy thing is Netflix does do some DVDs for their shows, so I'm hoping that they do it. I mean, Netflix has done it with a bunch of the other stuff. Stranger Things obviously has box sets. The other streaming services have done it. Hulu's done it with Handmaid's Tale and some of the other stuff. So I'm hoping I'm really hoping that we get it because it's a well deserved show. I think it's a really well acted thing. I know a lot of diehards will hate it, or always, there's the dub versus sub debate, which I don't want to get into right now. Maybe it's a topic we should get into later, but still, it becomes kind of a flame war when you talk about that. But still, I think it's a really good dub. It's still got the subtitled version on there. The one thing that I will say about the dub, and this goes for all dubs, is why do they change the dialogue sometimes? So I know they got to match it with the mouth, but there are certain times in anything dubbed, it doesn't even have to be an anime, it could be anything, where a character might be off screen and is talking. Well, why do you need to change the dialogue then? There's no one on screen to match lips up with or anything. It made me think about this. There was an episode I watched, I think it was in episode 8 or 7 of Evangelion. Gendo's on a plane, and the camera is just like way off in the distance, way behind their heads, and they're just talking about the U.S.'s involvement and in one of the newest Ava mechs, and they don't, and I had the subtitles on because at the time I was trying to listen over my phone, and sometimes my phone's not the greatest for audio, so I just had the subtitles on, and they just weren't matching up, and I don't know, sometimes I feel like it might change the tone of the show, and I know that that's why some people prefer sub over dub, but I like dubs. I do like dubs. Cowboy Bebop's got an excellent dub. Dragon Ball Z, I grew up with that dub. It's just that's my favorite way to watch that show. And I even changed the music, I know, but I actually do like a lot of the American music more than the Japanese music. But I don't know. I mean, it's something that I think we should definitely address. I think as a community of anyone who does watches anime or any kind of film translations or anything like that, I mean, dubs would get even more respected if that was the case. And I think Netflix did a great job with it overall, and also the video quality is really good. So that's another nice thing, and it's just something that the show is so good. I'm glad to see that it's getting something done that's not just those remake movies. The fourth one's coming out in Japan soon, but I was hoping that there'd be more of a resurgence of Evangelion. But it's kind of got its own crowd. It's people kind of grew up watching the old show, and it sucks because there's not really anyone watching it that are like younger, I think, really per se. They've kind of moved on to the different shows. Anime is an industry is very, very different from when I really started getting into it in around 2000, 2001. And I respect the classics, right? And Evangelion's one of those classics, and it's something that I'm glad Netflix has done. They've been helping with a lot of newer shows, but then like, well, let's go back and get an old show, something that's like is revered in the community, and they did, and I think they did a good job, and so that's something that I hope maybe they do more of. Maybe they can find more shows or get some deals to do something with some other things. I mean, maybe the weird thing is Evangelion's almost about, and this ties into what I was talking about yesterday about reboots in some way. Like everything just kind of seems to be circular, and things always seem to go in the Evangelion. Things come and go. There's a lot of weird reincarnation, I almost feel, in the show. So maybe they could do a new sequel and it would be on Netflix or something like that. Because I don't know if you heard, but the creator, Hideaki Anno, he came out and said about how bad his relationship was with the original company that he made, Gainax, that made the original Evangelion, and what happened and everything that led to him leaving. And apparently they were just taking money left and right from a lot of the original creators of the show, and even other shows like Gunbuster and stuff like that. Those guys didn't see any of their money, and that's why he left and then formed his own company to make sure everybody gets paid. And there's people embezzling money, and there's the newest guy that was the head was basically I did. I didn't. The article really didn't say. It was a good article on the Anime News Network, and I'll tweet it out later. And it said about some kind of, I don't know, like indecency or something with his family. It sounded like some kind of domestic thing or something. I don't know. It was really crazy, and it sucks. It sucks that Evangelions came to that. But at least Anno now basically runs and owns most of Evangelion, and I think that's why Netflix, I think, was able to get it, and also that's how he's able to do the new movies. So I'm hoping that we continue to get more after this. There's a great thing they just announced. They're going to be doing new Funko Pops, and they're doing Evangelion, and they're doing the three pilots: Rei, Asuka, and Shinji, and Ava Unit One, which is the one that Shinji pilots, and awesome, just awesome. That one looks really good. And I'm not a huge pop fan, but the Unit One looks really cool, and I could kind of see this being some of the harder to find pops out there for anyone that's pop collector, because they are going to sell a lot to the general public. You're not going to see these at Walmart. You're going to see these at comic book stores, places like that, online, maybe at Hot Topic because they have a lot of anime stuff, but they are going to be something that's flying off the shelves, so they might end up being kind of hard to find after a while. So if whatever they do come out, if you see them in the wild and you want them, buy them right away, because if not, you might have to pay double or triple the price, especially the Unit 1. I think that one being kind of a special one. It's not just a normal pop with, because they all kind of have similar eyes and stuff. But this one will be a unique one. You got to get that one, because if you don't, then it's going to be hard to find in the future. Really, that's not going to be something that's going to be easy to find, I don't think, in a couple years. It's kind of amazing to think that Funko Pops are still around, that somehow they've still been able to keep their popularity. But, here we are, and good for them, and good for Ava. I'm hoping we get more Ava toys. New Ava figures would be great. I know we have some, but I'd like to just see more. It's just like Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball's still around. There's still new toys in America, too. It's not just Japan. I mean, we're getting American toys. There's 2 toy lines now. There's the Dragon Stars, and then now we got this, like, kind of a cheaper one. But, that's what's great. And Ava, I wish it could get to that point, but I know it's never going to be as big as that. But that's fine. Something I might end up doing as a YouTube exclusive or something, maybe in the future, will be to do kind of an episode by episode kind of review. I'm not going to hit all the points in it, but I'm going to kind of do like a review and a discussion of every episode, and just kind of what I think, and kind of pull things apart and kind of deconstruct it, because there's a lot to deconstruct in Ava, and not just a hey, well, here's what's going on in the plot kind of sense, and like, oh, something's going on behind the scenes, but also in a way that it's Anno's belief on life. He put a lot of like his belief on life and spirituality and religion, especially Christianity and stuff, towards the end, but also how he views how people live in the world. Like I said, there's a lot of like bureaucracy in it. Literally, a ton of main characters are people that work in the government, which is crazy to think. Think of an anime where the main characters aren't like any kind of mech show or any of these like magical girl shows or something like that. The main characters are just kind of like young people. This show has middle-aged people like Masato, like she's kind of like a little older. She's like middle-aged, and all the way to people that are older, like the Magi kind of play people and things like that are involved in the higher end of the government. And then you got like Gendo, who's Shinji's dad, who's definitely older. All these people, which is unique too for an anime, and that's something that definitely is something that needs to be championed, because if you notice now, anime really doesn't have a diverse group of age brackets. And in some ways it kind of sucks, because you're just kind of seeing the same kind of people do the same kind of thing, and so there's not a lot of diverse things in terms of people and where they're at in seniority and powership and leadership and things like that. And Ava's, I mean, it just breaks the mold. I mean, Dragon Ball had some old people too, I mean, a lot of older shows did, but now it's a lot less. And also, there's a lot of female empowerment in this show. I mean, there's 3 pilots, 2 of them are women. Masato's literally kind of the commander in a lot of ways. She's kind of the operations manager of Nerve. She's her best friend is the scientist that helps build this stuff, and she's a woman. Like that's crazy. This is 1997. So there's been shows doing this for a long time, but no one thinks about it. And the reason why people don't think about it with this show is that it's just well done. You don't care. You don't have to care if they're a man or a woman or whatever. They're just people, which is great. That's the cool part. Is you're just along for the ride. It's a fun show, makes you think. It's a beautifully animated show. There's some cool action scenes in it. There's a lot of introspective scenes. There's even some, typical anime, like goofball kind of comedy, like you would see in the old Ron Mahaf stories, like not the full episode, but, like one or two little snippets. It's cool. Like there's a little bit of everything. There's a little bit of genre mashing in there. And so that's what's probably one of the best things about the series. I'm sure that's why a lot of people like it, but it'd be cool to kind of do that and explain that in every episode. Like, look, there's like these people are doing this, and this is meaning something. It's not just people doing things. And I'm hoping that more people watch the show now that it's on Netflix. But I'm afraid that, the way Netflix kind of works is their algorithm is if you don't watch anime, it's not going to show you anime. If you only watch rom-coms, it's not going to show you an Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie. So that would be, so it's not going to find a lot of a new audience, but it's going to have people, but it's going to find anyone that's an anime fan's going to see it. So, but I don't know, how willing people are to want to go watch it. I mean, I think some people know, look, this show is like, this is one of the best shows. This is, if you're going to watch something, especially if you like the giant robot genre, this is what you watch. This is peak quality, So everyone out there, just go watch this. Just go watch it. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. It's worth it. You can pay $14 or $12, I think 12. I don't know, whatever it is for Netflix now. I think it's $9 if you only want one stream or whatever. So $9 even if you don't even have it. Look, you go watch this whole 26 episode show, and plus there's the movie, the original movie before the new reboot movies. There, you have a lot to watch, and it's worth it to do it. And also, the more people that watch it, the more Netflix will know that people watch it, which then in turn makes them want to make more unique things, more anime, maybe more Evangelion, maybe do something else, maybe work on trying to get the rights to show the reboot movies on there, things like that. People don't realize that there is things behind the scenes that if they build it, they will come. But it's like if they watch it, they will come. So, and then on with that, I think I'll go into my predictions. I couldn't think of the word. Sometimes I trip over my words. I'm like Charlie and It's Always Sunny. Sometimes the words don't come out no goods. So this is going to be my predictions for Wrestle Kingdom 14. I'm going to run through every match for this, and then we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll keep a running tally because tomorrow is the first, or not tomorrow. Well, I guess it's tomorrow, technically, but it's at 3 a.m. my time on the East Coast. It's midnight on the West Coast, which would make it a little easier to watch because I don't think I can stay up until 3 a.m. Or I could go to sleep, wake up at 3 a.m., watch it from 3 to 8 probably. Everyone's thinking about 5 hours, which is crazy because the normal show is 5 hours, like every normal Wrestle Kingdom, but this is 2 of them. So we're in for a 10-hour, 12-hour weekend of just 2 shows and New Year's Dash, which would then be on Monday, which will be another 3 hours, probably something like that. So the first match will be, they're calling it a Stardom special match. It's a tag match between Mayu Iwatani and Arisa Hoshiki versus Julia and Hana Kimura. I don't know much about the Stardom girls, to be honest. I don't really watch Stardom. It's something that maybe someday when I get some time, I'll kind of start watching. Bushi Road, who runs both companies, Stardom in New Japan, I think are kind of doing this not as a test, but kind of as a way to show that Stardom exists. From what the talk is right now, it's not being taped for at least New Japan. It might be on the Stardom network later. I'm sure maybe some footage will leak on Twitter, YouTube. Someone with phones, especially Americans that are there. We love recording stuff and putting stuff up on YouTube and especially Twitter. So I do know Hana Kimura a little bit of the name and Andy Iwatani. Let's just say I'll go with Iwatani on Hoshiki then. So then the second match is an 8-man tag. It's Great Bash heel, which is Tomiyaka Homa and Togi Makabe, which Homa had all of his injuries with his neck and now he's back. And they're with Yuya Uemura and Yoda Tsuji, and they verse Toa. Wow, I cannot not read or speak tonight. Toa Hinare, Alex Coughlin, Clark Connors, and Carl Fredericks. Basically, right now the young boy Gaijin scrubs. So basically, I think it's gonna be pretty simple. I think Homa's gonna win this match for his team. I think it's kind of the big deal because he's coming off of his severe neck injury and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, crap, at first people really didn't think he was going to be able to walk again. And it was kind of touch and go for a little bit too. So he's going to get the win because, he's going to win. He's just going to beat one of the Gaijin guys because it doesn't really matter for them right now. Yeah. And you're going to find out that most of these matches are tag matches until you get to the main event type matches. And that's where you get into one-on-ones. No triple threats, no four-ways. Maybe sometimes in a junior heavyweight type match, but not in your main matches. So then your next match is Tenkozy, Tenzan, and Kojima versus Yuji Nagata and Manabu Nakanishi. It's kind of a toss-up. Tenkozy's old. Nagata, Nakanishi are old. That's something that, who knows? I'm just going to say it's going to be Tenkozy on name recognition for them in general. So I think that's what's going to happen. And then the next one, which is going to be an interesting one, it's the second to last match ever for Jushin Thunder Liger. And it'll be Liger versus Tatsumi Fujinami and the Great Sasuke and Tiger Mask with El Samurai in their corner versus Naoki Sano, Shinjiro Otani, Tetsuhito Takaiwa, and Ryusuke Taguchi with Kuniaki Kobayashi in their corner. I think it's pretty safe to say Liger's going to win this match because they want him to win a Tokyo Dome match, I think, this weekend. They're not going to have him win the next match. And that's because wait till you see who's in the next match. When you see who's in the next match, which is night 2, it'll explain itself. It'll make sense. There is a special guest ref, and it's Norio Honaga. I believe he trained Liger. I think I might be wrong on that, but I believe he trained him. So I think Liger's going to win. I think he's going to win the pinfall. He's probably going to do a power bomb, like his Liger bomb or something like that, to win. I think they're going to make a big deal out of it, and it'll be his last win. So, rightfully so, especially on a 2-night show. Then the next match, an 8-man tag match. Surprise, surprise. It's most of Los Ingobernables de Japón, which is Evil, Sonata, Shingo Takagi, and Bushi. Which if anyone who has out here hasn't watched Sonata and Shingo, you should watch those two for sure, definitely. They're versing Suzuki-gun, my favorite team, which is Minoru Suzuki, the baddest ass on the face of the earth, Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., and El Desperado. Toss up. Could be either one. There's been rumors of Suzuki leaving New Japan after the Tokyo Dome. And I think this could be the big night for Los Ingobernables. So I'm going to say that the Ingobernables win. Because I think that they may stand tall at the end of the night. Or into the 2 nights, let's say. Suzuki may take the pinfall in this, by the way. Just because he is maybe on his way out. And that's actually might be the sign. If we see him lose, maybe that's the sign. That you know what I mean? This could be the sign for it. So the next match, an 8-man tag match. Wow. I didn't see that coming. So it's Chaos, which is Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, Toru Yano, and Yoshihashi versus Bullet Club. But it's not the Bullet Club you remember, most people out there. It's Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens, Kenta, and Yujiro Takahashi. I think it's pretty safe to say Chaos is going to win this. Because it's kind of the NWOB team of the Bullet Club. Sorry, guys. Especially Chase Owens. Chase Owens is like so weird. They only use him on like the really big shows, like any kind of a major show. And then other than that, he just kind of disappears and he works in some indie fed in like the Midwest, something like that. It's really strange. It's a really strange thing. But I don't know. I don't think he likes to travel. That's not for Japan because he probably just likes Japan. I think, and he kind of fell into the Bullet Club, kind of a good thing to kind of work into. But I'm just gonna say Chaos is gonna win this. You kind of find out that a lot of these bottom matches, they matter in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways they don't matter. They tell stories, but they also don't tell stories. Sometimes who takes the pinfall is the important person, who pins. And there might be one or two little spots that matter in the long run because it might kind of hint at major things happening later. But other than that, you're just like nah. But the thing is, 9 times out of 10, the matches are fun. So that's the key. If the matches are fun, you're gonna have a good time. And then you got your big matches that tell the story overall. It's just your background characters for stuff. And this is when you finally start to kind of get to matches that are a little bit more important. And this is the IWGP Tag Team Championship match. And that is the Gorillas of Destiny, which is Tongaloa and Tama Tonga. And that versus Finn Juice, my bad. Who is Juice Robinson and David Finlay. Which probably be a pretty good match. Juice Robinson's actually really underrated. I know a lot of people like him, but I think that he's probably more underrated than that. And he just hasn't had a lot of time to shine, even in New Japan. And New Japan's perfect fit for him. He wrestles a great style there. He seems to enjoy himself. You can tell that. And so I think that, I'd be honest, I think that we're probably going to see, I'm going to say we're going to see Finn Juice win this. They are not the champions going into this. So I think maybe this will be one of the times we get to see a new champion. There's a lot of times. A lot of the lower end belts will change hands. Sometimes I feel like they just do it to change hands. If you look through their title histories of some of the lower end belts, look at the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship belts. The belts don't really matter a lot, and that thing just constantly changes. That's like the never open weight belt. It matters, but at the same time, oh my gosh, they will just constantly change that belt, and it's kind of like they test people to see who can have a belt and stuff too. And also, like, if it's a guy that they want to give a belt, but they don't like to change their world champion, it's kind of the belt for those kind of guys. So the next match, speaking of a championship match, it's the IWGP United States Championship. And it's in a Texas death match with Lance Archer, who's the champion, versus Jon Moxley. And the match can only be won by a 10-count knockout or submission. So it's going to be like a more of a traditional, old-school match. I really hope that these guys don't even come out in gear. They come out like Texas, like old-school, like street fight deathmatch, Texas deathmatch type stuff. Jeans, T-shirt that's got like the sleeves cut off and like their wrists taped up and their hands taped up because they're just in for a fight. They know they're just going to beat the snot out of each other. I think Moxley's going to win. He challenged Archer, who won the belt because Moxley had to like forfeit the belt because he got severely injured. It was like not MRSA, but I think it's a staph infection or something. His arm was pretty bad, so he had to sit out for a while. He had to miss a couple AEW shows and some things like that. So I think this is a good time to give him the belt back, but it also might just be a show to see how long he's going to stay in New Japan. Maybe there's a chance he's not going to want to stay in New Japan much longer. Not because he hates or anything, but I think, sometimes the travel and stuff, but he loves wrestling. I think he's going to be there for the long haul, and I think he's going to win. I think that's a safe bet. And also, it's almost like a unification match in a lot of ways, that match, just because he was the original champion, but he had to forfeit it. It wasn't even his own fault. He just got hurt. So I think it almost would make sense to have him win a bout back. But maybe they want to push Archer more. Archer stayed there. He did have a tag team partner in Davey Boy Smith Jr., but he left the company, and maybe they would try to push him a little bit more. But I would. Moxley's a bigger star, so that's kind of who I would go with. But you never know. So then the next match. This is the big three of the night. This is you can say big four with the Moxley match, but these three. This is the three matches that I think are going to blow people out of the water. This night, and this was the one that I think I said this before on the previous episode, my preview episode. I think this could be the match of the entire weekend. I really do. I think that this match could just be nuts, and it's the match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match, and that's Will Ospreay, who's the champion, versus Hiromu Takahashi, the man returning after I think it's a year and a half of his neck broken, and I think they're just going to blow it up. If you haven't watched any IWGP Junior Heavyweight match or New Japan Junior Heavyweight match, you got to check it out, because when they're let loose and they have something to fight for, whether it's something like a tournament, like a Super J Cup type thing, or a belt, especially at a big show, they're just going to go nuts, and it's going to be fun. And I think Takahashi's going to win. You don't want him to lose his first time out, but New Japan can be like that. They can have people lose because if the match is good, it tells a story that you can't win everything. It's not WWE, it's not American, and sometimes it's good. It's a different thing, but in some ways it's a slow burn instead of because they caught on fire, let's go with it. And they don't do a lot of feel good stories, which explains why I'm going to talk about the Liger match in night 2. And it all kind of works together. So the next match, this is where you could almost say this is a mini tournament, where you got 2 matches on night 1. It's you got the Intercontinental and you got the World Heavyweight. And then the winners of those 2 fight each other, and the losers of those 2 fight each other the next night too. But that's kind of just like watching the third place game at the World Cup. It's just kind of for fun. You just don't want to be last. That's literally all that it's for. But the idea is that you come out as champion of both belts. So the Intercontinental one, it's Jay White, who's the champion, versus Tetsuya Naito. I fully expect Naito to win this for sure. And they'll have a blowaway match. White's great. Naito's amazing. He slowed down a lot because of injury, but he's still great. He's still kicking it out there. His character is what will really work for him always. He kind of gets over with the fans, just has that nonchalant attitude. It's just I don't care about you, but everyone cares about him because he doesn't care about them and doesn't care about anything. He beats to his own drum, and if you think about it, in Japan, there's almost got to be an outlaw sometimes, because they're a very uniform society, and you work long hours, and you got to do what you're told. And as they say there, the loose nail gets the hammer. He's the loose nail, but for some odd reason, the hammer won't work on him. And you always have a couple guys like that. That's probably why the Yakuza movies work well over there. Same idea, but he's the wrestling idea. Masahiro Chono, his character was a Yakuza boss. It's pretty much what he was. He dressed like it. So, he's kind of that, but in a more, I just don't care about anything, a nihilistic view. So I think Naito's going to win this, and he'll face the winner of the next bout, which is going to be Kazuchika Okada, the champion, versus Kota Ibushi, and this is for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So I don't think Ibushi's going to win. Maybe not win the entire weekend. I think I don't think Ibushi's going to come out as the champion for the entire weekend. I don't know. But then again, that's one of those things where maybe it's because I don't live in Japan. I'm not the boot on the ground that gets to see how his fan reaction is all the time. So I'm gonna say Ibushi's gonna win this, and this will be This will be he gets the championship for one night. One night. And they have a big celebration for me now. I don't know. You guys will find out on Monday. I'm going to do... Monday will be a gigantic recap of about 10 hours of wrestling. And then I'll probably have to do a recap the next night for New Year's Dash. That'll probably be the next 2 episodes because there's going to be no way I can do all 3. And that'll be a lot of information as well in one podcast. It'd probably be a 3-hour podcast. So that wraps up night 1. Night 1. And then we kick off night 2 just the next day. And, same place. It's in the Tokyo Dome. We're basically going to kind of get the blow off from night 1. It's crazy to think they're doing 2 nights in a row, but, here we are. And so then night 2 is going to start off with the most violent players, who is Togi Makabe and Ryutaro Yano and Ryusuke Taguchi, who are the Never Openweight 6-man tag team champions. It's a long, long name. And they will be in a gauntlet match versus Chaos, who's in this, it's going to be Tomohiro Ishii, Yoshihashi Hashi, and Robbie Eagles versus the Bullet Club, Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens, and Yujiro Takahashi versus Los Ingobernables de Japón, Evil, Shingo Takagi, and Bushi versus Suzuki-gun, Taichi El Desperado, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. I think it's a gauntlet match. So I think the champions are going to start against Chaos, and then, the losers and the next team comes in. And this seems extremely unfair. You put the champions in first, but I could be wrong. Maybe they won't do it that way. Maybe the champions come in last, because to be honest, champions should have an advantage in these matches. That's BS. Or if they really want to be serious about it, they would do, in quotes, a random draw. And maybe them come out like third. I always hate that random draws either BS the guys, or not BS, they either screw the guys you would expect them not to screw, or the opposite. Sometimes you need to throw a wrench in there. They're like third. It's like Royal Rumbles. Don't always have the big guys come 26, 27, or 1 or 2. Why can't 12? But I digress. I'm going to go with... Who am I going to pick on this match? Because that's going to be a match... That's just one of those belts that just don't really matter, to be honest. I'm going with the Los Ingobernables because I think they're going to come out strong. I think there's a good chance of that, and then they'll have belts. We're gonna throw out belts here. You get a belt. You get a belt. Look under your table or your chair. You get a belt. So that'll be a whatever match. And I think if all the Los Ingobernables guys win up to that point, I think you could kind of draw the conclusion. It's something to keep an eye out. It's the thread. It's one of the threads. It's going to tie in through the night and the night before. And Gato, who's the booker, is good at that. He leaves breadcrumbs, or he hides things, but they're not necessarily always obvious. So the next match is in terms of for Americans. This is going to be one of the biggest matches of the entire weekend. It's Jushin Liger's last match. It's him and Naoki Sano with Yoshiaki Fujiwara in their corner versus Ryu Lee, who's the old Dragon Lee, and Hiromu Takahashi. So if I think Takahashi's going to win the belt, I think that it would make sense for his team to win, right? And also, Liger's not going to win in his final match. He's going to, quote unquote, pass the torch to the new guys, and that's kind of the old school, kind of traditional wrestling thing. You don't win your last match, you lose on the way out. And so, now the thing is Liger's probably going to take the loss. I don't think Sano's going to take the loss. It just wouldn't matter. So I think that Liger's going to take the loss. Now, who's going to be the guy that pins him? Takahashi or Ryu Lee? Takahashi's champion. Kind of give him a bigger rub if you have him beat him, but then Ryu Lee didn't wrestle the night before, and he's changed his name. He's kind of dedicating himself to Japan. Why not make 2 stars that weekend? Have Takahashi and Ryu Lee. The more I talk about it, the more I think that makes sense for Ryu Lee. I'm going with him. Then the next one. This is where it's going to be like. I mean, this is from the American standpoint. It's just like, the next couple matches, you're just going to be like, oh, man, Liger, he's done, the cool down. But there's, it's Bullet Club, and it's Taiji Ishimori and El Phantasmo who are the champions, and they're the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions versus Roppongi 3K, who's shown who are actually really good. Taiji for Bullet Club's really good. He's not the best, but he's good. Sho and Yo could be really good, and I think that they're going to win it. They like having, like I said, they like having a lot of belt changes on these, and Sho and Yo have had them before. They're a good tag team. They work together really well. It would just make sense. Throw them out there to win. Probably a fun match. I don't think it's going to be terrible or anything. I mean, it's going to be a fun match. Sho and Yo, Taiji, they can tear it up. So I mean, yeah. Well, let's see a good match. The next match is for the British Heavyweight Championship, which is from Rev Pro, as I had to remember the last time. And that is Zack Sabre Jr., the champion, versus Sonata. Sabre's the champ. He's from Britain. I can't remember if they've changed the belt hands before at Wrestle Kingdom, because it's been defended there before, and it's been defended in New Japan quite a lot. But they like to give Sonata the rub. They really kind of think he's the future of the kind of the wrestling in general. There, I think they maybe think he could be the next world champ in a couple of years. I'm gonna go with Sonata. I think it's gonna be a fun match. It's gonna be a good match, and I think Sonata's gonna take it. He'll get a nice little British expansion for a little bit on top of his Japanese tours. Yeah, I think why not? Put him. He's in a kind of not a big spotlight match, but he's in a singles match. Singles matches are huge to have in Japan, especially if it's something like at the Tokyo Dome. Not a lot of one-on-one matches, but there's a lot more one-on-one matches on the second night than there's the first night. The next match is the IWGP United States Championship. And it's Juice Robinson versus from whoever won it from the last night, which is Moxley and Lance Archer. I'm pretty sure Moxley's going to win, so it's going to be Moxley versus Juice. And unfortunately, I think Juice is going to lose it then, which sucks for him, because I think Juice needs to start winning some belts and get some momentum. And I think this would be a good time to do it, because they don't have a lot of, I'm going to say this in a weird way, it's going to be homegrown American stars, homegrown foreign stars. New Japan's always had foreign stars, back to the 80s to now. And they don't have a lot of foreign stars that aren't tied to like AEW or things like that, where they're not New Japan homegrown. They're from another fed. They're just kind of pulled over. They're like hired guns, which I think that like Juice needs to be that guy that Jay White's one. He's from New Zealand, and I think that I would like to see that for Juice. I think he'd be a good champion, but I don't think he's going to win. Not against Moxley. The next match is the Never Openweight Championship. This is one of those belts that just is what it is. It's Kenta versus Hiroki Goto. They're always good matches. I mean, I don't want to hate on the belts here. I mean, honestly, like, it's not, trust me, it's not like watching a random Intercontinental Championship match on a Monday Night Raw. They've never, they don't make them feel special like they used to. And these at least feel, like, the matches are good. They're singles matches. Kenta's going to win this match. I don't think they're going to change their belt on him right now. Kenta has some upswing. He can maybe start going for some bigger championships in the future, so I don't think he's going to lose it yet. So then we get the final three matches of the weekend at the Kingdom, or the Wrestle Kingdom. So the first one's a singles match between the loser of Okada and Ibushi and the loser of White and Naito. So Okada and White, which they've had some good matches together. So with Okada losing and Naito losing, or White losing, I'm going to say it's going to be Okada losing to White. And then White can be a number one contender right away for the new champion. I'm not going to say who it is because you'll see in a minute, which you kind of know who it is. But anyways, I think that it'll make sense in the long run. And they like to have multiple contenders that could go for the belt. So I think that that's the way to do it, to be honest. Have White win it. Okada could still be down the line, and soon he's Okada. What are you going to do? It'll be a good match, though, for sure. Then the next match is actually Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Chris Jericho. And if Tanahashi wins, he gets a match for Jericho's AEW World Championship. And from what it sounds like, has it kind of been confirmed by AEW, at least, like, acknowledged? So, I'm telling you, this is leading to them doing their cross promotion. They're going to start working together. And if I did, then I called it. I have it on record. It's online. It's online now, everybody. So, anyways, I think it's gonna be Tanahashi now, because if this is really gonna happen, you gotta have Tanahashi win. Then you have this match that leads to, like I said, Tanahashi versus Jericho. Moxley is the U.S. champion versus a New Japan guy. On a pay-per-view, right? You would have the IWGP champion, who I'll say in a minute, which I think you guys already know, but he can fight, someone from AEW, and it'd be an awesome idea. We'll see though. We'll see. I really do think it's going to happen. Now the rumor is that New Japan was kicked off Access TV because Impact Wrestling, who their company that owns them, is the guys that own Access TV. Impact approached New Japan about a working agreement, and New Japan said nope, and so they got rid of their TV show. So I think there's some things going on. I think there's some things going on that maybe we just don't know about. And Jericho's a smart guy. I think that he maybe, like I said, there's a chance that he kind of had Tanahashi help him come up with this idea. There's some things going on, like Jericho and Omega. There was hints of Omega and Jericho fighting well before they did. And Jericho kind of planted those seeds, got with Omega, and kind of came up with something. They would make mentions on podcasts, by the way. They were literally just big mentions or something, like weird, like not directly like, I could beat them up, but like little things about like where they were at and where they were from and stuff, about different parts of Canada. I think it's going to happen. I think Tanahashi's going to win. It's going to be a fun match. It's going to be a cool match. And I think we're going to get a mix of the Jericho from AEW, who's the kind of snarky heel, like old rock star, thinks his crap don't stink, against the mixed with the New Japan kind of crazier version of that, like a little more psychotic. I think it's gonna be a fun match, and that'll lead to what would end up being Naito versus. Why can I not think of his name? Ibushi. Kota Ibushi. I think Naito's going to win. I think that it's going to be the payoff of Naito's career. This is the big deal. Ibushi's still now going to be recognized as a former IWGP champion. Maybe they see how the crowd reaction works for Ibushi as now a former IWGP champion, and if it works, that he could be the next champion after Naito loses it in probably 6 months, somewhere, in the summer or something like that. I think that Naito's the safer bet. Get him the belt. He's kind of still over. He's over with Americans. Not that Ibushi isn't, because he certainly freaking is. But I think Naito fits that belt more. And I know it's because Ibushi's just kind of a crazier, like, cruiserweight, light heavyweight guy. I don't want to pinch a hole in that, but the New Japan World Champions have never been the super high flyers. They high fly, especially the last couple, but they also do a lot of heavier big stuff. And Ibushi does it, but he just doesn't look the part. And so I think they're going to go with Naito, and then they'll see what Ibushi's reaction is, like with the fans. And if that works, then I think that they'll go with it. I think that's what they'll see what they can do. And I think that's the way to do it in my head. Naito can then go fight somebody in an AEW show if this all comes to fruition, which I really think it is. I think that I think that's the way to go, guys. I really do. What do you guys think out there? Just let me know. Send me. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, uh, Facebook, GeekySteveD on everything, YouTube. I put up episodes of this on there. I put up clips. I'm gonna start making some stuff here soon. That is exclusive. Like I'll probably do those Evangelion stories, episode by episode. Not for a little while. It's maybe something in the works. I'm gonna start making a list of cool things to talk about in the future. Seriously though, anything you guys want me to talk about, or any kind of questions, or hey, if you think that I'm full of crap for my predictions for tonight, let me know. I'm curious, especially on Twitter. It's an easy way to get in contact. We can have a little discussion back and forth. All right, guys, have a good night. See ya.